Ghostrunner is a cool action platform game developed by One More Level, and I have to say, it's pretty good. I assume if you're watching this video, you have a basic understanding of how the game works, and so I won't spend too much time explaining it. The general idea is that you play as a sword-wielding warrior with no memories and must take out the Keymaster Mara with your good buddy, the Architect. On your journey to the top, you will take leaps, bounds, slashes, and dashes to get through levels of enemies. First things first though, let's talk about the gameplay, since that's what everyone seems to talk about the most in this game's discussion. The gameplay is responsive, fast-paced, and intense. While it isn't a very long game, it throws you directly into the action, with plenty of different mechanics ready for you to experiment with and figure out how to effectively slash through tons of people without even getting hit. As you progress, you get new abilities, like a projectile, a big reflector, and that cool slash people do in anime for some reason. As you run through the levels, the characters' voices interact in the background, but if the gameplay takes you out from hearing the story, you can just sit back and wait for them to be done talking. Sometimes though, they'll have a platforming section, so you can focus on the story instead of the fighting. Sometimes the levels are quite difficult, but never really feel unfair. They don't feel repetitive, and constantly bring something new to mix up the gameplay to stop it from becoming stale. Now, you may be thinking, with all these cool things, is there anything that could possibly take away from the gameplay experience? Yes, there definitely is. There were three main things that really hurt how fun the game was. To start with, the sections in cyberspace screeched the gameplay to a halt. I was going from killing people while narrowly escaping death to running around platforming and solving boring puzzles. The completely blue environment didn't help either. Then this happens quite frequently, and the last level puts you through the best one, which still isn't saying much if the rest are all bad. Second, I had a few problems with clipping out the map for no reason, so I just gonna show those off in this funny montage.
Slow down. This one is different.
How?
One way to find out.
The final biggest issue is the boss fights, so major spoilers ahead and skip to the timestamp on screen if you want to avoid those. The first boss level is super interesting as you take down a reactor and are required to run around destroying cables. Its multiple phases are extremely fun, but unfortunately the other bosses are extremely tame and easy in comparison. The second boss fight against the other Ghostrunner was quite frustrating because sometimes it didn't really feel like your skill mattered whatsoever, and it was only if you were able to mash the slash button well enough that you would win. The final boss fight though was also just extremely easy in comparison to the first one. And pretty much all the skills and abilities you gained earlier throughout the game, you do not use whatsoever. Which, isn't very satisfying from playing the game. But, I have to admit, narratively, the boss was quite cool. Quick side note here, because I played the game on PS5, the adapter triggers in this game are really great and really enhance the experience. Speaking of narratives, time to talk about the story, and you know the deal. If you don't want to be spoiled for this either, skip to the timestamp on screen. The story is solid. As you progress, it becomes incredibly obvious that the Architect, also known as Adam, is a bad guy who is just as bad, if not worse, than Mara. So, the story doesn't do the most creative thing ever, but the way it goes about setting up the conflict and just how evil and self-righteous Adam is interesting. While predictable, the method they use to tell you bits and pieces of information is engaging and balances well with the gameplay. The characters are good at showing all the different sides of the conflict, with Mara in control and ruling everything, trying to advance, so to speak, humanity. Adam, on the other hand, is trying to take back his past rule, while Zoe has her entire group wiped out from trying to not be used and controlled. The final act of the story is cool, especially the scene where you take out Adam and the epilogue plays. Unfortunately though, the epilogue sequence ran extremely poorly on my PS5 and kinda dampened the experience a little bit, but the story's still really good. Finally, the music. There's no spoilers for this one, this is just the music. The music is quite fitting and really matches the vibe of the game. While a lot of the tracks may sound a bit samey after playing most of the game, there will be some moments where you'll just hear it and be really taken aback by it. And the soundtrack is on Spotify, by the way. My favorite track is probably Factory, at least at the time of making this video. Overall, if you are interested in the story, this game isn't really made for that. It's more gameplay first, story second, which works quite well in this game's favor. With a few minor problems, it's a pretty good game, 7.5 out of 10 I'd say. It's perfect for you if you liked Katana Zero, and yeah, I'd recommend it.